yet. Nu ska vi bara se. Ska bara på att Instagram kommer igång också. Så där, nu är vi live. Okay. Okay, everyone. It's here we go. It's 2:30, actually 2:30 after 2. It's 2:30 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon. You're watching me, Donny, here, Innovation Fika, live from Stockholm, Sweden. Every Wednesday, 2:30 p.m. live from Stockholm with the Innovation Fika, which is my innovation coffee break, where I get to interview really cool people around really cool ideas, and then we just have a coffee break chat, a Fika break, which is Fika in Swedish is, of course, a coffee break. So, as usual, everybody that's coming online, make sure to tell us who you are and where you are from in the comments, so we can get the networking going as well. Hopefully, we'll have some of the regulars online as well today. We always have some people from India and Sweden as well, of course. But anyway, welcome to the show. And today, I know the promotion said Maja and Simon, and we have Simon here as well. So let's welcome Simon Lilja to the studio. Welcome to this fantastic Wednesday afternoon live show, Simon.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. Yeah. So do I introduce myself?
No. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. You will, because
okay.
I always start by saying to all of my guests, everybody gets the same question. I say, welcome to the show. So tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Simon. I'm the CTO of SimulAir. CTO is my official title, but I do pretty much all kinds of things at SimulAir. Obviously, it's a startup working with bedbugs. And should I?
No, we'll come back.
I'll go that way.
But you're right. But you're a student at KTH.
Yeah, I'm a student at KTH. Yeah. I'm an aerospace engineering student.
Aerospace engineering student.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I took a bit of a side task and started working with bedbugs. So it's a bit of
Who wouldn't want to do that? I took a side track and I started working with bedbugs. I like that. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah.
I'm
cool.
I'm the bedbug guy here.
Bedbug guy.
Yeah.
And that's in a good way, by the way, everyone. That's not in a bad way. And okay, well, let's actually dive into that then, because you and Maja, who couldn't be here today, look at that. See, I knew there, one of our regulars. Hi, Yash from India, from watching us on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Instagram, and also on TikTok there, live on TikTok as well. Anyway, so coming back to the bedbug issue with Maja Åstrand.
Yeah.
Was not the first person in the world who ever had bedbugs, but she was the first person in the world who had bedbugs and then decided to do something about it as well. So can you tell her story for her?
Yeah, I'll do my best to tell her story. So it began in 2019. She had, she most likely had bedbugs for a little while, but she didn't know about it. And then she went abroad, came back, and by then the bedbugs had gotten very hungry. So she went to sleep, woke up with the bed and the wall and everything was just moving, crawling around there.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
horrible.
Yeah, it was. She has told me this story many times, and it always awakens something within you. Yeah. So she did what pretty much anyone would do. She got straight out of bed, started packing everything down in bags, called the landlord, called the pest control company, everything. And got started with the treatment. Or rather, the pest control company came and they did the treatment. And then she was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to go to my friend now and sleep there. I told her, no, you cannot absolutely not do that, because then this will not work. You have to stay here. You will have to act.
So you have to stay in the flat while the treatment of the
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's the way you're actually luring the bedbugs to walk through the pest control chemicals, or in Sweden we just use diatomaceous earth usually, but it's a sort of a powdery thing, and you need to lure them to do that. And
so
only
you
a
need
human
bait.
Yeah, you need human bait.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've had my not my fair share of bed bugs, but I've been in hotels where I've encountered bed bugs, and then I've come home and been like super careful of nothing comes in the flat kind of thing. And then we were super worried that we might have had bed bugs, but we were super careful for weeks and weeks afterwards. But the whole sort of bait thing, because I heard about there's some kind of crystallized powder that you put down. And then
it's fossilized like shells or something. I don't really know. But it's a mechanical way of killing them.
Exactly.
So they're walking on it and they're getting scratches, and then they lose all their moisture in their skin.
Yeah.
And then they dry out and die.
That sounds like a very slow and cumbersome way of getting rid of bed bugs.
Yeah, it's not the quickest way. They can last for a couple of days after coming in contact with this. So it takes a little bit of time. And then obviously this learning process.
Because that's the thing is, I mean, they feed and then they go and more or less go back to sleep or go wherever they go. I mean, it's not like they constantly are in the bed. I mean, they are usually in cracks and
Don't get fooled by the name. I mean, in Swedish we call them vägglöss. In
wall bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Wall lice. Actually.
Yeah. So we call them different things, but they live wherever really. They live where they can hide, but where they have access to a human host. So that's really. But they come out, eat every 7 days, every 10 days, depends a bit, and then they go back, and then they just remain hidden. And unless, of course, they're looking to mate, female bedbugs, they go straight back, and then they get mated with and produce eggs.
So you've learned a lot about bedbugs during this process.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been making myself acquainted with bedbugs.
Okay, wow. I mean, I've learned. I mean, so every time I come to a hotel nowadays, because I was actually in a luxury hotel in Paris, and had the same thing. I looked down, and my legs were like crawling with bedbugs. It was horrible, big, fat, ugly. French. No offense to French bedbugs, but they were. It was in France. And then after all of speaking to the pest control people and everything like that. So every time I go into a hotel room now, when I check into a hotel, the first thing I do is I take the key and I go and check the room.
Yeah.
And as far as I've learned is that you take away the covers of the bed, and then you check the seams of the mattress, because that's where you'll find exoskeletons of dried up.
And sometimes spillings, of course.
Spillings and exoskeletons of bedbug. It's like brown, crackly kind of stuff that is in like the seams of the bed, and it's usually from like mid body and up to the head. It's usually where you can find them, and I've encountered them in a number of hotel rooms. And then I've immediately said, can I change room, and preferably change floor as well, because I mean they move between rooms as well, depending on what kind of building it is. So if you get bed bugs in your flat, it doesn't mean necessarily that you've brought them in yourself. I mean, they can actually travel in from the rooms beside, depending on the building and the flat and things like that. So, but I'm guessing, you've learned lots about it. So how did you then? And then Maja met you.
Yeah. So this was a couple of years later. So this happened to her in the beginning of her engineering studies.
Yeah.
She started thinking about, could this be done in a different way? How could it be done in a different way? And then she met me during our bachelor's degree project in mechatronics. And she introduced a couple of ideas to me about things we could do for the project. And then she had this little thing that she saved until last. She didn't really want to talk about it first. She had got mixed responses previously. She described the problem. She described her idea of making something that simulated human presence in some sort of way. And I loved it. I fell in love with that idea. And then we just got started working on that throughout our bachelor's mechatronics project.
Yeah.
And quickly realized that this is not going to be just this project. This is going to be something more. We need to take this elsewhere. We need to build this in a proper way. And yeah, then obviously we got in contact with KDH Innovation, and yeah.
And now here you have something then.
Yes,
This
yes.
is the first working fully prototype.
Yeah, exactly. This is like the 4th or the 5th, depending on how you count it. Sorry, I was holding it in frame. Prototype, which we have been testing in a lab and in also in.
This has been in contact with lots of bedbugs.
This has been in contact with bedbugs, but it's been sterilized. It's safe, I promise you.
Okay, so and this simulates human presence in a room.
Yeah, exactly.
And is it the what is it? Is it the CO2 emission or is it heat?
Yeah,
what is it that?
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of factors, but CO2 emissions from our exhaled air, that's sort of the waking signal for them. So that's really important.
I'm already going.
Yeah. We have that effect on people.
Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, but it's so you have these different signals that you have to control to really get them to first wake up and then lure them from a distance and then lure them when they're in proximity. So they have different things, different cues they go by.
So it's like human pheromones and things that we sort of kind of communicate with living creatures around us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so obviously we didn't have to do all this research on our own. What attracts bedbugs? That's already out there. There's been like a lot of scientific work done on that, but we kind of took all that the conclusions and just built a machine that does that, which is kind of was surprising to us that no one really had attempted it in the way that it should be done. Really, I mean, there had been some attempts, but we really saw some flaws in the designs that we could improve on.
But none of the others have been KTH. So I mean, no, but I think it's fascinating because I mean when I've been I travel a lot with work, right, and all of these hotels all the time, and then coming home, I have a very strict routine for when I come home from anywhere, no matter if I've seen it or not.
Yeah,
nothing, not even myself, comes into the flat without being sanitized, right? Straight down into the washroom. Everything goes into wash or tumble or heat thing. No bags, nothing. And when in hotel rooms, no bags ever around the bed or absolutely not under the bed.
Yeah.
Never leave your suitcase under the bed. It's like that's asking for it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
That would be the number one tip, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then I know people that they sort of come home and then with a bag and then they like just throw it under the bed or just leave it in the flat until like a week later when they unpack it. That's like sort of anyway. But anyway, so then the whole wash routine and everything like that, and then heat treat the bags and everything, and then finally I can actually go up into my own flat. I mean, it's like coming in from a space mission detox.
It's a lot of steps.
Oh yeah, but I'm manic about that. So it really is. But then I've also researched, online sort of what are different things. I mean, I've seen suitcases with built-in heat.
Yeah,
you can actually connect them to the power outlet and they heat the suitcase up to like 45 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
So they make sure that your sort of your luggage and then there's these the lights, some kind of a UV lights.
Yeah, you're looking for pretty much blood. So so pretty much you can be a forensic detective.
But then again, but if I'm in a hotel room and I'm using one of those, I'll find all kinds of bodily fluids that I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't want to see.
Might not want to know.
So the whole. But then of course, check every morning waking up in a hotel room every morning, checking the bed. Are there any sort of blood, traces of blood, things like that? But I haven't really seen anything. As useful as because this one lures them out and it also traps them, right?
Yeah. So we attract them and then we trap them.
Yeah.
And then we identify them.
Right. And what happens with them after you sort of trap them? Do you let them out in the nature again, or
no? That would be their final destination. Yeah. So. But we just make sure that we have them trapped, and then we can identify them.
Yeah.
And run out all kinds.
Are there different kinds of bedbugs? I mean, like different like species, like different versions, or like nationalities. But I know nationalities, but
yeah. There's well, the biggest two families I would say are the common bedbugs that we have here, and then there's the tropical bedbugs. And the tropical bedbugs are a bit better at climbing than the bedbugs that we have here. But
and they're probably about this big as well.
No, they're about the same size. Yeah. So they're like 7 millimeters, the big ones. But yeah, no, the bedbugs they're pretty much the same all over the world. Otherwise, yeah.
So I mean, is every single hotel chain phoning you now then and wanting to work with you?
Hotels are a bit shy with talking about bedbugs.
But shouldn't like every hotel have one of these per room, just standing there all the time, just because?
Perhaps not one per room, but I would say one per hotel would be a good idea to really be able to handle this in a more, I would say, discreet manner. Than...
Yeah, but every time a room is empty, you just put in the machine, and then it sort of kind of keeps the room sanitized.
Yeah, hotels usually have a good idea of when they have a infestation problem and where it is. It's just a matter of treating it in a very effective way where they can ensure the safety of their customers, that they are actually rid of the bed bugs before letting customers in.
So anybody listening if you work at a hotel chain, or if you know anybody in a hotel chain, or if you own a hotel chain, these are the guys and girls to speak to. Simon and Maja from SimulAir.
Yeah.
SimulAir.io?
CO.
SimulAir.co.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll add that in the afterwards, the details. But coming back then to your journey then, I mean, this is a hardware startup. It's kind of a big thing. It's not like developing an app and then just releasing it. I mean, what were some of the challenges for you specifically when it comes to hardware startup?
There's, I don't know where to begin. I mean, there's obviously everything costs a lot more. You can't just sit down by the computer and build it and then release it and try it. You have to build a lot of iterations, and it's I think the biggest takeaway that we have gotten throughout this journey is that it's important to really isolate things early on. Know what you're trying to achieve with what system or component, and then just build them separately. Don't try to make everything on like the first go. It's not going to work. Just keep everything in separate containers. Do every function of the system separately. Just keep it simple as long as possible, and then add complexity later on. I mean, it's really important to not get lost in the complexity early on. We had that problem in our bachelor's project. We started adding all these complexities that weren't really necessary, but we got kind of lost on the way.
But complexity is easy. I mean, it's always. I mean, I think for an engineer, we kind of have a tendency of always sort of over engineering things. Because I mean, if we're coming up with ideas, we come up with lots of ideas, and then one more feature is going to make it so much better, right? We're adding one more thing. It's going to be fun. This and this and this and this, and I will probably be able to dial my grandma with a screen as well and say hi. So the whole sort of concept of sort of scaling down and scaling back and I mean MVPing it more or less.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much. So we didn't even when we set out to do this, we didn't really even know about this concept of an MVP, really. I mean, obviously we had an idea of, okay, this needs to do that. But when you really get down to the nitty-gritty details and start to reduce it to, okay, what does it really have to do to be a functional product? That's when we started honing in on what we're doing now. But
and then isolating the different sort of features or functionalities and making them as simple and working as possible. And
exactly. So it's you wouldn't think so. At least we didn't think so starting out. But it's really simple to get a specific system to work on its own, and then having that collaborating with other systems. Then all of a sudden, things start to break and things start to not work. And it's just easier to just keep them separate for as long as possible, and then really towards the end start combining them and see, because then you have a much better grasp of what you're doing with every single component, and they have been reduced to their simplest form, really.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting, because I mean, we at KTH Innovation and in many other places, I mean, we work with the KTH Innovation Runners level, and then you have the TRL scale. And when you look at the TRL scale, it's interesting because you have like early stages is like, okay, getting the tech specs right and getting the understanding of how it is going to work in where kind of thing. But then you have the concept of, testing a demonstrator in the lab environment, and then testing the demonstrator in some kind of relevant environment where you simulate some kind of environment, and then the environment levels up to operational environment. I mean, on those 3 steps from lab to relevant to operational environment can be, crucial for if it's going to work or not. I mean, if something is outdoors, there's a big difference from being in the lab and then being outdoors in weather and wind and everything like that. And then, of course, you have the tech, where you have demonstrator, prototype, and like an operational release candidate kind of thing. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that. And so if you had some tips here for people wanting to build hardware. So, I mean, I'm following a bunch of people on LinkedIn that are, trying to build things in their own home environments, everything from irrigation systems to, what's it called? Aquaponics systems, things like that. But I mean, where if somebody wanted to start with a hardware innovation, hardware-oriented startup, where do we start?
Small. That's the key. I think it's if something can be done in a smaller version of what the intended end goal is, that's important. That saves also, like, because there's a lot of money that goes into building big things. So I would start small. I would start simple. I would start. Most people who are into building these kind of things start with these different kind of Tinkerboards, Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, Picos, etc. Just keep everything really simple, modular. Just use whatever you can get a hold of and build from there. And that's because there's little to be gained from, for example, taking everything and making a finalized PCB or something for your components before you even know if you have the functionality that you need. So so start small, start simple.
And how much testing have you done sort of in your iterations? I mean, have you?
A lot. I mean, some iterations, especially very early on, the testing just begins and ends at the same time, because you realize, okay, this doesn't even work. So that's a very short test cycle. But then as you start to approach more of what probably will be a final version, then there's a lot of testing that goes into whatever you're doing, right? You need to test that it's able to withstand whatever you're trying to put it through, and then the solidity of the solution you have for whatever. I mean, on test 40 everything runs great, and then on test 41 a new error appears that you haven't even known about being there, and then you have to go back, figure that out, and then redesign or figure something out. I don't know. That happened to us a lot. Before this prototype, we had a very similar looking prototype that had these weird things happening to it, where they would just shut down for 40 minutes or whatever during our testing protocols, and we didn't really know why. Turned out it was it kept losing connection to the cloud, so it couldn't get the settings it needed. And then obviously we had to fix that, but then we also realized, okay, we need to make this more robust. So if it loses connection, because if you're having something that's connected to the internet, you need to have it like, okay, what happens if it loses connection? And then so there's a lot of things that just doesn't show up until you have done hours and hours.
But I guess the only thing that you keep on having to repeat to yourself is, if it can go wrong, it will.
Oh yeah, exactly. If there's something that you know, for starters, that okay, this could potentially go wrong, then you just design it in such a way that it doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like when you're practicing for a pitch. It's like, list all the questions you do not want people to ask, and then make sure you have answers for them, because they will ask them. Don't worry about that. This is the world's fastest half an hour, heading up to 3 p.m. It's like whoosh. I'm super pleased that you've come today, Simon. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm fascinated. I think this is the coolest thing ever. And I really hope you and Maja have a huge success, because if nothing else, the world needs this. The hotel rooms and flats in the world need this invention. Anyone interested? SimulAir.co, Simon and Maja, inventors of the what do you call this?
Oh, we haven't even named it. It's just the machine right now.
It's the machine, the bedbug trap.
Yeah, exactly.
The bait-free bedbug trap. Cool. And I'm guessing that there are loads of other pests to work on in the future. So
this is the beginning.
You have your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks Yash for watching, and everybody else out there. You know what will happen next week, Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Innovation Fika, on the nose, like every other Wednesday. This has been episode 152. All the recordings on YouTube, just as usual. And with that, I will say thank you